Alaikum students. I hope you all are fine and in good health. Welcome back to today's English class. Now today we are going to test or I should say I'm going to test your understanding for unit 7. Now as I said you are not going to get any PDF for this. So here only in this today's video, we'll go through the question answers of both Topsy-Turvy Land and Gulliver's Travels to see whether you have understood or not. So first, let us see Topsy-Turvy Land. Okay. What have we studied in Topsy-Turvy Land? Yes, from the picture, you may recall what you have learned from the poem that in Topsy Turvy Land everything is upside down. Upside down in the sense everything is opposite of what happens in the real world. Whether it may be walking, whether it may be going to school, whether it may be the vehicle in which they go to school, day or night, everything is opposite in Topsy Turvy Land. Okay, so let us see the summary. Topsy-Turvy Land is a poem written by H.E. Wilkinson. It is, okay, now who has written the poem? Yes, H.E. Wilkinson. You can see at the bottom of the poem where it finishes. It is a very interesting poem that takes us to the land where everything is upside down. Yes, now I have asked a question. Where is Topsy-Turvy Land? Nobody has answered me that yet. So, where this he talked about a land which is upside down. It tells us about a strange land where nothing is normal. See, it's upside down means everything is different, everything is opposite, nothing is normal. In fact, the normal that we live in, everything is the opposite of that in this land. So normal, the way we live normally, everything is opposite of it, whether it may be walking, coming, going, right? Do you remember? It has many amusing things. For instance, the sea does not contain water and instead it is full of sand. So there are very amazing things over here in this land. What are the amazing things? First is the sea. It is not made of water, it is made of sand. Similarly, there are many other strange things going on in this land, which the poem mentions. Okay, now there are many other strange things which happens in the poem, like how the children do not go to school during the day, rather they go to school at night. Further, the houses have a front door step at the back. Okay, which is the most amusing thing, is that in this land people walk on their hands instead of their feet. It is an entertaining poem with hilarious scenario to think about. So yes, we have learned that students go to school at night, not in the morning. Their front door is at the back. Okay, if they're standing, they're going. Okay, and then what are the things? Yes, they walk on their head. They wear their hats on their feet. Right. So there are so many entertaining things in this poem. Okay. Now let us see the question answers. So first one: when do children go to school in Topsy Turvy Land? When do children go to school? Yes, children go to school at night in Topsy-Turvy Land. In the poem, if buses travel on the sea, then where do the boats travel? Okay, if buses are traveling on the sea, see the picture. The boats travel on the road. Yes. How should it rightly be? So, what is the right way of traveling? Where should the bus be traveling on? Yes, bus should be traveling on roads and boats should be traveling on the sea. The topsy-turvy land is very different from our land. Let's draw a comparison by filling in sentences wherever needed. Okay, now you have to make a difference between topsy-turvy land and our land. Okay, so here a point is written, the opposite point will be in our land. If our land point is written, the opposite will be in topsy-turvy land. People walk on their heads in topsy-turvy land. So in our land, how do people walk? People walk on their feet. हम पैरों पे चलते हैं ना, हम सर से नहीं चलते हैं. Now second point, the buses run on the land. Okay, हमारी buses कहाँ चलती है? Land पे. उनकी buses कहाँ चलती है? The buses run on the sea. Just now we saw, right? They wear their hats on feet. अच्छा, इन टॉप्सी टर्वी लैंड वो हैट्स कहाँ पहनते हैं? अपने फीट पे। हम कहाँ अपने हैट्स पहनते हैं? वी वेयर हैट्स ऑन आवर हेड। नेक्स्ट, बोट सेल इन द सी। अब हमारी बोट्स कहाँ चलती है? सी पे चलती है, लेकिन टॉप्सी टर्वी में बोट्स कहाँ चलती है? यस, बोट्स सेल ऑन रोड और ऑन सैंड। पीपल पे फॉर वॉट दे डोंट गेट। ओके, इन टॉप्सी टर्वी लैंड वो पैसे इसके देते हैं जो चीज़ उन्हें नहीं मिलती, और हमारे लैंड में पैसे कहाँ देते हैं हम लोग? जो चीज़ हम खरीदते हैं। सो पीपल पे फॉर वॉट दे गेट. So these are some differences between topsy-turvy land and our land. I hope with this you have understood the poem very well. Okay, now let's move towards the another chapter that we studied in Unit 7, that is Gulliver's Travel. Right? Now in this chapter we studied about some giants, okay, and how they were, so tall. How did Gulliver, they find Gulliver, and what happened when Gulliver went home, and then last he slept peacefully. Okay, so let's see the summary. This story has been taken from the very famous Gulliver's Travels. In total, Gulliver goes on 4 different voyages. Voyages means his travels. This extract is about the second voyage he takes, where he meets the gigantic humanoid Brobding, Brobdingnagians. Yes, you can call them gigantics, giant people. Okay, how do you pronounce this? Gigantic humanoid Brobdingnagians. Okay, now, so this is about his second travel, okay, where he found people who looked very giant. People who looked very giant, it means very huge in size, very tall. Okay, these people exhibit Gulliver as a sideshow attraction. Okay. Thus, contrary to the popular voyage to Lilliput, this will make us understand his second voyage. So, this was mainly about his second voyage, and what happened in this second travel, let us see. It is also known as an interesting one, where the land of Borbin Bobdingnang offers him surprises. This land contains people who are incredibly huge. When Gulliver meets the inhabitants, he thinks that they are all monsters. Moreover, there are around 7 other monsters that discover him. They talk amongst them to decide what to do with him. Gulliver is seen by a famous farmer who thinks Gulliver is a little animal. The farmer takes Gulliver home, where he encounters different things. However, these huge creatures are surprisingly kind to him. So yes, we have seen about these huge creatures. Okay, they were finding for water on the land, and how one giant person, he ran after the colleagues of this Gulliver. So what happened then? Everybody ran away. Gulliver was still left on the land, right? And when he was trying to save himself, hide from the farmers, one of the farmers saw him as they were reaping the crops. Okay, then 7 other giants were there. They sat over there. They were not able to understand what Gulliver is trying to say, isn't it? That we just completed the chapter yesterday, right? So one farmer took Gulliver at home. Okay, he kept him on the dining table. Now farmer's wife was very kind. She was very good to him, right? So what she did, she gave Gulliver some crumbs of bread. Okay, but a baby came over there. Baby was also as huge as the giants, right? And he tried to eat Gulliver, but the lady, the farmer's wife, she saved Gulliver, right? And then she kept him on her bed. She covered him with the handkerchief, and then Gulliver slept, right? So this was the second travel of Gulliver, where he mentions about how he met the farmers that were very giant. Okay, let us see the exercise now. Why did the captain send the men on the land? Okay, why did the captain send the men on the land? Yes, the captain sent the man on the land to look for water, isn't it? They all came down to look for water. Okay, so students, the first answer is the captain sent the man on the land to look for water. Why did the men rush back to the ship? Now, why were the men running after the ship? They went on the land to look for water. फिर वो भाग क्यों रहे थे शिप के पीछे? Do you remember what I explained? Yes. Why? Because there was a giant who was chasing the men. Okay? They all were chased by a giant. So that is why the men were rushing back to the ship. Next, choose the correct answer. The giant carried a reaping hook. Because, now why was the giant carrying this hook? Remember I explained? Yes, because he was going to reap the corn. They put Gulliver on the ground to look at him because, now why did they all put Gulliver on the land? They had never seen human before. They thought he was a doll. They had never seen such a tiny man. So which is the correct answer? They have never seen a tiny man. They all also were human, right? वो एनिमल्स तो नहीं थे ना giants. They all also were humans. Okay, but they didn't see tiny man like Gulliver. So that is why they put him on the ground. Now, last, Gulliver was. Now, who was Gulliver? He was a farmer, sailor, dwarf, or giant. Yes, Gulliver was a sailor. He was sailor. He was sailing in the boats on the seas, right? Now, name the creature to whom you would like look like Gulliver. The creature is now extinct. Now, you have to find a name of the creature who looks like Gulliver. Now, Gulliver is also a human only. But for the giants, what was Gulliver? Yes, he was a dwarf. Now, the very short people, now we call them dwarf. What do we call very short people? We call them dwarf. Okay, so if you want to mark these answers in a textbook, you can see the video and you can mark in your textbooks. Okay, so now I hope the chapter was easy for you to understand and now you're clear what was there in unit 7. Okay, so here we end with our chapter. The next class we may continue with a grammar or a writing section part. Okay, so see you soon with the next video.